Sometimes the hardest part about living with myself in the present comes when I'm around people who seek to drag me back to a past. And it's made harder not by strangers who think that they know me. It's actually made harder by people who have journeyed with me long enough to know me and to know better. I remember being in an argument with my sister once. And in the midst of the argument, the heat of the argument, she looked at me and she said, "You're nothing. You ain't never been nothing. You ain't never gonna be nothing." The crazy thing was, she said that to me when I was 42. Now, if she would have said that to me when I was 22, running the streets of West London red back in the 80s, I might have had a tendency to say, yeah, maybe you're right. But not 42-year-old me. Come on, 42-year-old me was doing too much, had achieved too much. Personally, emotionally, academically, spiritually, professionally. Way too much for her to be looking at me and saying, "You ain't never been nothing, you ain't never gonna be nothing." What do you do with that? What do you do with that? How do you live with you now and live comfortably with you now when people seek to pull you back to the you then? How do you learn to live with yourself? Sometimes when the memories of a competing and an other you doesn't want you to do that. Let me share from my journey. Talk briefly about my journey, and maybe it will help you to find some kind of perspective and maybe some synergy for your journey. Here are some of the things that I've learned concerning that. I've learned to sit in a comfortable discomfort with my past. I did things back there that I just cannot undo, and that's the discomfort. But I've learned to resolve in the present, not to bring the past me into my present and my future journeys. And for me, that's the place of comfort. I've learned to separate people's perception of me from my acceptance of me. Because I know I won't always be what you want me to be or even think that I should be. But I know that I am always going to be who I need to be in a given space. I've learned that not knowing gives space to receive the gift of knowing. I've learned that not all the answers to knowing myself will come from just knowing myself. Because many of the things that contribute to knowing myself, I've found actually exist outside of me also. And number 4, I've learned to value all of my story, even the parts that people want to drag me back to. I've learned to value them as well, because all of those stories have contributed to the making of me. Listen, we're all works in progress, works that never land at perfection. We just daily arrive at maturity, having learned the last lesson from our past journeys. My sister forgot about that in the midst of the argument when she decided to read from chapter 22 of my story and not chapter 42 of my journey. Learning to live with you happens every time you remember that your history is what it is. It is. But your present and your future doesn't have to be what your past was. Okay, let's do the work. I want you to list the things in your life that empower you, and I want you to begin adding to that list. Then I also want you to make an honest list of the things that disempower you, and then begin to think about how you begin eradicating them one by one. I want you to make a list of the people who have contributed to the making of you. I want you to pinpoint what their impact was and what it was that they did. And I want you to send them a letter, a text, a card, anything that thanks them for doing so. Then I want you to write down the name of someone or something that you want to contribute positively to the making of. I want you to begin mapping out how you are going to do that. Then I want you to call somebody who's going to hold you accountable, let them know what your plan is, and begin to do that plan. Begin to execute that plan. Okay, let's go do the work.